Dude, yeah, yeah. All right, look at that. We are live, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello.
Coming in live. My name is Nathaniel Coons, and I am here with my good friend and buddy, Mr. Gavin Hart.
Hello, Gavin Hart here.
All right, so Gavin, so we are here tonight. What is going on? Why are you looking so dapper, my man?
Well, I mean, a special occasion, you got to have some special attire, right? You got to look good for the occasion. So iGo Banquet, you got to bring it.
Yeah, iGo, you got to look good to feel good to perform all right.
That's right.
So that's our goal tonight.
That's right.
Is all right. We're shooting for all right, so when it goes well, it's going to be
pleasantly
really
surprised.
Well done.
That's right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But if it goes terrible, then it's just all right. So we didn't miss our mark by that much.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so Gavin, I know you really well. Hope you know me.
Yeah.
All right.
Well. Yeah.
But our people online do not know us.
Okay.
So what you could do, if you would, for us, if you would just give us a little bit of background, a little history of who is Gavin Hart, and how does he attach to iGo Global?
Great stuff, Nathaniel. Thank you. Yeah, a little background. So my name is Gavin Hart. As you can tell, I'm from Oklahoma City. Always with the OKC swag.
Yeah, y'all still have a basketball team?
Yeah, they'll be good one day. Don't you worry about it. Let's see. I went on my first trip with iGo in 2008, where I met you.
Yes.
That's where we met, actually.
Don't do the math. That's a long time ago.
Too long. Let's see. Yeah, I kept coming back. Went 2009, 2010. I was in Cardiff, Wales all summer, where I met my beautiful wife, Stephanie, who's sitting right down over there. We've been married for almost 10 years now. Which is crazy. 3 beautiful kids. A 5-year-old daughter named Ada, and then 2 sons named Alden and Finn. And let's see, I serve at a church in Oklahoma City called Christ Community Church. Work with students and international missions. So, yeah, man, iGo has been a huge part of what I've done in my life, what's led me to where we're at now. I served, like I said, one more summer in 2011. I was in North Africa all summer long. But after that, even though I haven't gone on another trip, I've stayed plugged in, continue to come to banquets, the short-lived iGo conferences we both brought students to.
Yeah, R.I.P. Man, rest in power.
That's
iGo
right,
conferences.
Base camps, bringing students to base camps, showing up at random things. One time there was a lunch box in Edmond, and they were like, hey, can you help out like the day before? And so I just showed up and did that all week. And so, stuff like that. I stayed plugged in, and now Stephanie and I are volunteering, or in the process of trying to volunteer as trip coaches with iGo. So, yeah.
Was that just like a subtle hint of we need to get this process up and going?
No, that's on me. That was totally directed toward me, yeah.
All right, awesome. Well, yeah, if y'all can't tell, there is a full room in here. If you can hear the chatter.
Packed house tonight.
Great turnout. But my name is Nathaniel Coons, and so Gavin and I met on our very first trip back in 2008. So I had just graduated high school, and I thought I knew the direction I was going, as we all thought we do at that age.
Right, yeah.
But man, God really showed up in my life that week, and so that kind of messed with my plans a little bit in a good way.
Yeah.
But from there, I went for another 5 summers. So 6 summers with iGo, from Wales to Wales again, to 2 tours in China.
What?
And where else? Paris.
That's right. Can't forget that.
Oh man.
Can't forget Paris.
Everyone loves the city until you visit it, and then you don't. But no. So I was there for a year, and then wrapped up in North Africa.
That's right.
Same place you did. Year before or after?
It was 2011. So
I was a couple years after.
Yeah.
After that. But no, just like with Gavin, I've been connected. I'm a student pastor, and so anything that iGo does, I try my best to get my students to. Just looking back on the teaching, the training, the intentionality of iGo Global, and just how they love the local church, that they don't try to be the local church, and they really equip not only student pastors, but students to live on mission year round. And so now you're with college students. So that's a little bit different but iGo does that as well.
Yeah.
And so how have you seen some of those elements that you've we'll talk about it later on. And so don't worry, everyone. We'll be talking about this later on with Brad when he gets up here and just
That's
really keeps us in line.
Somebody needs to, right?
Someone needs to. We bought these $60 suits, and now we're professionals.
That's right.
And so
That's all it takes.
We are pumped. We're ready. And so, Gavin, how have you seen some of those things kind of transition into college ministry where you're at?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I'm getting the chance now. I'm starting to work with youth again as well. But you're right. I've worked predominantly with college students for the last 6 years or so. I guess longer than that now. Last 10 years, and it's been really good. So one example you might hear a little more about. This past week, I was in Colorado for a discipleship conference that's for college students. One of the breakouts I did, I actually spent the breakout talking about bottom line and ancient work. So two of the core values of iGo.
Yeah.
Using that as an opportunity to talk about what missions is and what missions isn't. I think, we talked, as I was preparing for that workshop, I remember talking with Steph, my wife, and said, hey, some of this stuff, was aimed more towards youth. And then as we started talking about it, I was like, but actually, college students need to hear this too. Like, this is not too low for college students. And I was like, actually, most of the adults need to hear this stuff still too. So I think that's something that's really great about iGo, about their teaching, is that they're timeless truths from the Bible, right? It's not like they just made these up out of thin air. They're just looking to Scripture and helping put into a structure that's helpful to understand and to teach, but it's scriptural truths. And so they apply to everyone. And for the college students, it's been instrumental in helping them have a worldview that's really founded on this idea that God calls all of us into the work, right?
Yeah.
That all of us are called to be on mission for Him. And so iGo, like I said, really helped shape my understanding perspective of the world and how we serve. And that's continued to be really the main thing that's pushed that through as we work with college students, helping them understand, hey, whether you're here, whether you're somewhere else in America, whether you're somewhere halfway across the world, God is calling you into the work and you have a role to play. And that all comes back to bottom line, ancient work, hope of the world, joy of the sower, all those great things they've taught us, so many years ago.
Yeah. But I think the bottom line of that was Gavin's little humble brag of teaching a breakout in Colorado, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard it first right here. Book Gavin if you need a breakout speaker.
That's right.
Because he's almost international. Colorado is almost international.
I think so. It's its own place, basically.
Yeah. So our goal tonight is to have a lot of fun along the way. And so we have some people jumping in here. Let's see here. Dennis Jacobs. Man, Dennis.
What a dude.
Hey,
what
here's
a
the
guy.
thing. Shout out to Dennis for raising an incredible daughter, Caroline.
Yep.
Man, she is killing it up in Tennessee, even to the point where I connected a former student of mine. So, Dennis,
nice.
Man, great job, buddy. Let's see here. Christopher's on here. Nate Woodall. So here's the thing, Gavin. I don't know if you've got the text from Nate this morning. He said he's coming in hot on this chat.
Okay, I'm looking for it.
So everyone that's on this with us, y'all be on our side. All right? Nate Woodall's coming in just to troll us. Nate I sent him the little Emperor's New Groove GIF that's got the llama man. I don't remember his name, but they're about to go over the waterfall.
Cusco.
Cusco.
There we go.
Cusco
is a food.
Rice. Who put us in charge of any of this? Everyone in the sound booth is just shaking their head. But it's all right. No, so y'all jump on here. So let's see here. When are you going to introduce with name, hometown, years associated with iGo? Dennis, we did that earlier, but we'll give you a nutshell. So I've gone 6 times across seas with iGo Global. But when you include launch boxes, base camps, it's a lot.
Yep.
My hometown is the recently home of the Texas 4A State Girls Basketball Champions. Shout out to the Brownsboro Bearettes.
The Bearettes.
We've got to have something to celebrate. They just shut down our subway. And so...
Yeah, that's tough. It's tough when the subway gets shut down.
That's tough. All right. Gavin, for anyone new jumping on, who are you?
Hometown, Moore, Oklahoma. Have been in Oklahoma City for a while now. Moore is just like right outside of Oklahoma City, between Norman and OKC, for anyone that knows where University of Oklahoma is. And I've gone with iGo, I think, 4 summer trips, 2008, 9, 10 in Cardiff, Wales, and 2011, Morocco. And then same as Nathaniel, countless launchbox, banquets, conferences, base camps, you name it. If iGo's doing it and it's anywhere near me, I try to be there.
Yeah, we get roped into things and then show up wearing $60 suits from Amazon.
That's right.
Hoping that we get fired. But our pay rate is really cheap. It's honestly maybe a t-shirt.
Yeah, I mean, I like t-shirts. Free food.
Free food and t-shirts. That's all you need. We'll be there to be your host for any event.
That's right. True student minister life.
Yeah. So throughout this evening, all right, so kind of what the rundown of this is going to be like, we will have some iGo staff come on board, and they're going to be sitting in our very own hot seat.
So that seat?
It is really hot.
Okay.
Don't touch it. You'll burn your hands. It is that hot. But no, so we'll have some staff on.
Okay.
Rumor is, you're hearing this first here, ladies and gentlemen.
Breaking news.
That the mayor himself of iGoja is going to be making his way onto this stage.
The incredible,
the one, the only mayor of iGoja. I hear he's a man of a lot of words.
Yes, has much to say.
Deep wisdom.
Yes, profound.
And his looks are really all you need. It's a smile that you just gaze into.
Yeah.
And you can't look away.
Yeah. It's, when I think of great leaders, Mandela-esque comes to mind. I don't want to. I just that you think some in the line of that, right? That same vein, Yeah.
Yeah. So Christopher knows what's up in the chat. You have to clap for the mayor.
That's right.
If you don't clap for the mayor, you'll find out what happens. We can't give away the secrets of base camps.
It's true.
Or anything along that. We are, dude. We're doing it live.
It's happening. We're on right now.
Yeah, we've got, man, the world is talking to us right now. Shu is just.
It's happening.
It's the $60 suits.
That's it.
Real class.
They came for iGo, stayed for the suits.
Yeah. All right. So Gavin, our first experience while we're waiting for someone to jump on. What we need to think about is think back. What is your first iGo memory?
Oh gosh.
Your first one. Good, bad, or otherwise.
Man, okay. This might be a little unfair to iGo. Do not take this as anything.
They're not watching right now. We're
That's
okay.
Right. They're
all
busy.
mingling.
That's okay.
They'll watch this later
They'll
tonight
watch the tape back
when we're at home. Yes.
Okay, so I think my first memory. So is 2007 summer. I was at Falls Creek. Shout out to Falls Creek, whoop whoop, in Oklahoma, and they were still partnering with Go students there, and felt like the Lord was calling me to go overseas, and so I signed up for this trip to London.
Okay.
And I get accepted as the year's going on. It was like, I want to say February of 2008. So okay. I'm leaving in June of 2008, I think.
Yeah.
And we're talking like a couple months out. I get a letter that says, hey, they had so many people apply. We're splitting the trip. You're no longer going to London. You're going to Cardiff, Wales.
The old classic bait and switch.
That's right.
They get you with London, and they're like, man, this is going to be so great. The nations are there. We sign up, and it's like, boom, Wales.
Yeah, and full disclosure, for me, I remember I got that letter. I wasn't even, like, upset. I was just, like, so gung-ho and excited about just going wherever the Lord would have me. But I got the letter, and I was like, cool. Pulled up, like, a computer and was like, where is Cardiff, Wales?
I did the same thing. But internet was not what it is today.
That's right. It was very different.
So it took a while.
That's true.
The internet had to find where Cardiff, Wales was.
It took some time.
Jeeves
was busy, and so,
Dude, absolutely. No, when I think back on my first iGo memory, it was base camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said that's my next one.
So everyone that's watching, that if you know about base camp, you just know. And if you don't know about base camp and you're going to love it. A lot of great learning moments happen there.
That's right.
So here I was, just a student out of East Texas, never really left, town of 800 people. And I go to Falls Creek, which is larger than my hometown. That's where they were hosting base camp. And so I go up there, and it's that part where you have to try to get where you're supposed to go. Talking in code here. So I'm trying to get where I'm supposed to go. And I just can't happen to find the right spot to get where I'm supposed to go. I was so frustrated. I was over it. It was hot. I was sweating, partially a little dehydrated. And so what happened is I saw where one of the vehicles was going. I was being observant.
I remember where the story goes.
Yeah, and so what happened is I was just like, I'm done. I'm over it. Because I couldn't figure out how to get into that vehicle. I walked up to it, and they're like, stand in the line behind and stuff like that. And I'm like, I quit lying. What are you, gibberish? I don't know what's going on. And so when no one's looking, I see where they're dropping them off, and I just run for it. Just casually, you do that little like creep back thing. You step back, and then when I think it was Brad and Kent Jones. When they turned
Shout
our
out Kent
backs,
Jones.
Yeah, Kent Jones, if you're here, love you, MVP of the world. I just ran. I ran, and then a guy barricaded the door that night, and he said, "You'll thank me for this later on." With the
and you
the
did.
usual wake-up alarm.
You did thank him.
Yeah, because they couldn't get into us. Those are the real ones. All right, so
good stuff. Good stuff.
No, it is good. So if you're on here watching with us, the 7 watching right now, jump into this chat. Oh,
do we have our first guest?
Oh man, I need to stand in the honor of.
Hello.
What's going on here?
Dude,
hello.
You have no idea what's going on here.
You're exactly right. I have no idea. I don't even know if I want to know. I probably shouldn't even ask that question, should I?
You don't plan on watching this back later, do you?
Not until we're gone.
Great.
No.
Yeah. Good. Then everything's great.
I'll be back home.
Yeah.
We've only said good things.
How about I just don't watch this back until the Thunder win a championship?
Well,
so
great.
You never have to worry about
that. Right. my secrets are safe then.
Yes.
All right. So for those of you that are on the chat with us, we've got a special guest.
That's right.
The man,
the myth.
Some would say even the legend.
That's right.
And the only ones that says that is himself.
Yeah. When I'm practicing speeches in front of the mirror, I call myself the legend.
Affirmations. That's good practice. It's a good practice.
You get that little slow clap going on,
slow
a little
clap.
Rudy, or whatever the Hoosiers do. Do they've got something?
Right. Yeah, classic.
I wore a Hoosiers shirt to Lunchbox. No one knew what it was.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
You didn't know what Hoosiers was?
Hickory.
It said Hickory. I don't know Hickory.
15 from the movie.
It's been a while. It's been a long time.
If you're on this chat, help us out by saying no one knows what you're talking about, Shu.
Okay, we never actually introduced you. This is the one, the only Lance Shoemaker. Shu, president of iGo Global.
We had a meltdown at Legend.
Yeah, that's right. We lost it there. That was the important thing. Yeah. Mr. Dennis Jacobs says, "Sup, Shu."
Why does he say turn around?
Earlier you walked in front of the camera, but we're only with the back of your head.
Gotcha. Yeah, I got you. That was,
You know, it happens. It's all right.
I'm here now, Dennis.
That's right.
Good grief.
He's here now.
So you were sitting in the iGo hot seat.
That's right.
I don't know if you know that.
I don't think I knew that when I sat down.
That's the
Y'all
surprise.
Just look lonely.
It's very hot.
No, it's very hot. You don't want to touch it.
Okay.
With bare skin.
But you have now already.
Yeah,
it's
so
okay. It's too late.
So
I was feeling that. I didn't know what it was.
You need to lean into the mic, Shu. You're getting us yelled at on this screen.
Lean into the mic. I'm here.
They're coming in
I'm
hot.
up in the mic.
We got thumbs up now. That's great.
All right. So Lance, tell us how long you've been with iGo. That's a trick question.
How long I've been with iGo?
Yes.
I've been with iGo since before it started.
Hey.
So are you saying you are iGo? Are you the eye of Go?
I might be the eye of Go, but I'm not the him of make him famous.
Okay,
well done.
Well played.
That's good. Put that on a sticker. We're selling that. And maybe the eye of Go, but not the him of make him famous.
So iGo, we've been doing this for 22 years. This is summer number 22.
Woo.
And
It's convenient you started on like 2000.
That's the way you
so
do
you
it.
never have to do the math.
That's
It's
right.
just what year it is.
22. Oh, this is our 22nd year.
There
We
you
still
go.
count 2020 as a year.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just count it.
It happened.
I don't want to skip it. That would mess the math up. So
That's right. Makes it easier
we
that
were
way.
here, just didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So,
All right. So what was? I don't think I know this answer to this question. So what was the heart of starting? What was Eyewitness Ministries turned to iGo?
yeah.
Good question.
So what was the heart of the start?
Eyewitness Ministries. I'm glad you knew that. That
Yeah.
was the worst name ever.
Yeah.
Hey, let's take our teams into closed countries. What are we called? Eyewitness Ministries.
Yeah.
So that was horrible.
Yeah. That doesn't raise any flags at all.
Yeah. iGo Global was better when we finally made that switch.
Which came first, iGo or the iPod?
iGo.
iGo. Yeah.
Eyewitness came before the iPod,
Yeah.
the iPhone, all that. I mean, 22 years. So we were rolling iGo with like cassette tapes.
Yeah. Little
For
Walkman.
those that are watching that may not know, cassette tapes were kind of like CDs, but for those that don't know, CDs were like these discs that you put into a thing, and they played music. That's all you need to know. Yeah.
You played the music that was next on the tape.
That's right.
That's what you did.
And you had to flip it over for side B.
Yeah. Flip it over. Run it back. So the question,
Yeah. We're great at this.
how did this start? I figured this would be like this, and it's awesome. It started with my heart, God turning my heart towards the nations, and not knowing what to do with that. Am I going to go live as a missionary? What am I going to do? I'm speaking to students all the time. Camps, retreats, whatever. God had opened up this platform and ministry for me to speak to students. And so it became this question of like, well, what if we called students to this? What if we called the next generation to do this? And then we took them overseas. And like, I have a platform. I can speak to students, teach them the things God is teaching me about the nations, His heart for the nations, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And we can call them to that. And we just decided like to try it. And we didn't have any idea what we were doing. There was a commercial way back then for UPS, and the UPS guys were in this. The commercial was basically these guys in this office making this pitch to this guy. Hey, we're going to do this and this and this. He's like, I love it. Let's do it. And they're like, oh, no, we don't actually do that. We just propose it. And it felt like that for like 2 years. Like, well, that was a great idea, but we don't know what we're doing. So parents have to sign off on this. If I take their high school kid to Japan, parents have to sign something. Yeah. We didn't know what we were doing. And God just was good to us. Like, He just helped us find students. The first summer, we took a team to Japan. I recruited 2 of those kids at camp I was speaking at in June, and they went with us in July.
Who were their parents?
I don't know. Like,
Man.
I didn't even know these kids. And they just were like, yeah, this sounds like a great thing. Let's go to Japan with our camp speaker.
Yeah.
They didn't know who I
That
was.
sounds like something Gavin and I would do.
Yeah.
For sure.
Gavin would go, and then he would stay for an extra month.
Yeah. With $0
That's right.
Yeah, hey, can I just maybe bunk with you guys?
Yeah, you got an extra room. I wasn't able to make it to the leader training. So on our chat, we've got the Austin Shoemake.
That's right.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So he is claiming that you having a kid gave him the enlightenment to start iGo.
Yeah, because he was like 1 year old, so I could go away
No.
for a couple weeks, and I would have to listen to all of his whining, and he's probably teething at the time.
Oh
So,
yeah.
Like,
About to start asking why,
Yeah.
and you're like, I don't even want to know.
Yeah, why? Why
Yeah.
are we doing that? Why are we doing it? True story. We came back after 2 weeks. Back then, you could still go to the gate in the airport. Y'all even knew that you used to do that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Most of our students don't know that. You could still go to the gate, but we were on an international flight, so you could come out of the gate and everybody was there, but there's glass, and then you had to turn and walk and go through customs. But Austin, who hadn't seen his dad in 2 weeks, was standing there, 1 year old, waiting, and I came out and I said, hey, and then I turned and I had to go down this hallway and I disappeared again. He just melted down in front of everybody. Like,
Man.
2 weeks. So, yeah, Austin was the inspiration, obviously.
Yeah.
That checks out.
Sounds about right.
We'll give you the credit there. Let's see.
2 shoes.
Two shoes?
Yep. There's an A shoe, Austin shoe.
That's right.
He's married now, Dennis.
Yeah.
So he's like a
How's
legit
that make you feel?
old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad we don't have to say it.
No, I'll say it. I feel it every day. I have a daughter-in-law.
Wow.
Yeah.
She's favorite daughter-in-law.
Favorite daughter-in-law. Yep. She's amazing. Hannah's amazing.
Now, did she do iGo as well?
Yep. That's where her and Austin met.
Okay.
You guys have a story like that?
Yeah, so here we go.
I don't know anything
ladies
about
and gentlemen,
iGos and wedding bells.
you're not wrong.
22 years.
Yeah, I met my wife in, I should know this, 2009,
So careful.
but she does not remember meeting me. So I really made a great impression.
Yeah. Strong start.
Strong start.
It's a marathon, man, not
That's
a
right.
sprint.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2010 for us. And
Yeah, that's a story.
that's fun. It's a fun one. Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Yeah.
his is
All of
good.
his stories
mutual
are fun ones.
destruction. Yeah, so we'll just leave it at that. Oh, man.
Absolutely. Okay, well, I'm going to let you guys do it.
All right.
You want me to send anybody up here?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, whenever-
whoever just looking a little confident right now that needs to be just like
I'll get somebody
thrown
good.
off their
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, you
All
want
right.
What's
knock
up,
'em down a little
everybody?
bit.
We'll be starting live in here in a little bit with the whole crowd, but thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shu.
Yeah, not everyone is getting this experience, and so you
That's
are
right.
the few and the lucky to do that. But no,
Let's
we
see.
are going strong here at the iGo Global Celebration Banquet. I
That's
blanked on where we were at.
Hey, it's okay. Hey, Austin. Yeah, I'll go ahead and just say it summarily. You can have all the credit and none of the blame. So
goodness.
congratulations.
Come on up here.
Uh-oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have our second contestant on the iGo hot seat. Now I'm confused. Is this Kai? Because you look very familiar as someone else. But
Are you talking about the mayor of Igosia?
the mayor of Igosia.
The mayor of Igosia won't be making an appearance tonight.
He's on vacation.
I figured since this was all audio, the mayor wouldn't be much use, because he doesn't talk.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
We did-
okay.
he would just
we have
basically
heard he's
smile
got
and wave.
I guess that makes
quite the
sense.
smile that when you just gaze into his
Yeah,
eyes.
I can do them.
Yeah, could
not
you look
dressed as
at
the
one of
mayor.
our cameras, that one right back there,
Yeah.
and just
And the mayor, he likes to, when people are clapping for him, he likes to just wave everywhere.
Oh.
There aren't people.
yeah. Wow.
Yeah, you got to pander to the whole crowd.
Yeah.
Even if it's not there, it's the prospective crowd, right? That's how you get the crowd there.
Right.
Because you show the love and they come to it. I mean, I get it. It makes sense.
Yeah. No, this is great. So we've got on our live chat with us, Dennis has been here
That's
as
right.
always. Dennis Jacobs.
Oh, Dennis.
He's
Is he
always
disappointed
here.
that we're not talking about Japan the whole time?
Um,
No one loves
No.
Japan more than Dennis Jacobs.
you're not wrong. I was gonna try to say something in Japanese, but then my wife's voice came into my head and said, "Don't do it because it's not gonna go well."
Your wife is a wise woman, so
She's very
it's
wise.
probably good
so
that that's the case.
I'm gonna listen. I don't want to insult all of YouTube.
There's been lots
yeah.
of applause since you've sat down.
Okay.
We have
Thunderous applause.
Thunderous applause.
Wow.
And then 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, maybe 15 applauses.
All right.
for you.
Are you counting each one from?
Yeah, I
one
was.
person?
Yeah. That's exactly.
Yeah, it's a
Nice.
lot of applause. Thunderous applause. All right, so if someone's on YouTube and doesn't know exactly who you are,
Yes.
so who are you?
Who am I?
Who?
Now we're
We're
not,
getting
we're not
philosophical.
talking about the mayor now.
No,
No.
we're back to you. Yeah.
We're back to you, unless somehow those are tied in together.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah,
It's kind of like an alter ego, honestly.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
It's an
Okay.
escape place.
Yeah. Well, my name is Kai Martin.
Okay, so Kai, how long have you been at iGo, and what is your role?
All right. So I went on the first ever iGo Global overseas trip.
So were you one of the? Now we know
Yeah.
Shu's old.
Yeah.
So he just told us a story that there were two kids that were at a camp with him in June, one with him in July.
No, I
Were
was
you
not
still in
at a
high school when
camp.
you met him?
I was still in high school when I met Shu, but it was at base camp that I met Shu. I never met him
okay,
before.
okay.
I was recruited by the other guy, whose
Oh.
name we shall not speak.
The other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
He's my boss. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
But still must not be named on these airwaves.
It's fine.
Right. So I went to the first trip. Did he do the whole 13 thing already?
No, he did not.
Okay, so this first trip, it's in the summer of 2001. I just graduated high school. There were 13 of us, and it was a 13-hour flight, and we left on Friday the 13th.
And you made it.
We flew on a 777. So I
So
canceled
there we go.
Okay.
If it's a 747, it would have.
Yeah, it would have been bad.
It would have been like Lost.
That's exactly what it would have been like.
But do we really know how that
it would have been
ends?
like Louis Zamperini 2.0. That's what it would have been.
Goodness gracious.
Like we were going to Japan. I mean,
Yeah. So what is your role? I know it's changed a little bit throughout the years.
Right.
But when did you come on staff? So you first got introduced to Eyewitness Ministries,
Yeah,
now known as
Ministries.
iGo Global.
Yeah, so I went on a couple more teams as a college student, started leading teams, and then came on staff part-time as a college student in order to, I was basically like vetting applications was mostly what I was doing. So I was doing it just very part-time. I was what we now call a Jimmy, right? I would intern in the summers. And then as soon as I got out of college, I just came on full-time. The rest is kind of history. So at first I don't even know what I was doing at the beginning. I think it just kind of like.
I think that's how all of us started.
Right.
We're not really too sure.
It's just like we don't really know. We don't really have a job for this guy, but he won't leave. So I guess we'll
So
let him
just
stay.
Yeah.
stick around every now and then. We'll find something for you, right?
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. But
It's a
then,
great place.
They felt bad for you.
They did.
Yeah. That's how I got my first job.
Just say it, man.
Yeah.
Call it out.
Yeah.
I feel bad for this guy. He doesn't know what else to do with his life. He
Yeah.
likes this.
It worked out well.
Yeah,
I
so I
think.
stuck around. He eventually let me have my own trip. I got to be in charge of.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then from there, I just, climbing that corporate ladder.
Yeah. So you would say that you're at the peak. You are.
I was no Nathaniel Coons.
Oh, get out of here! No,
I never
stop,
made it
stop,
to like
stop.
the apex of student ministry.
Not quite the pinnacle of his
Yeah,
profession,
not at
but
all,
but close.
not at all, not
Close.
at all.
Yeah.
But I did. For a
I
while,
opened that door. I opened that
You
one.
did. So, I was. So I became basically the manager of like all the trip coaches. So everyone that we changed it from trip coordinator to trip coach because our trip coaches, they don't just like coordinate details, right? They coach students through the whole process. So I kind of oversee that and take all the different trips we do and try to like make it all one process so everyone's sending out the same stuff at the same time, that sort of thing. And then I started Launchbox 7-8 years ago, I guess. I'm not sure how long ago it was, but and that's become like a bigger part of what we do. So for a while there was just kind of like the little thing we did for youth groups on the side, and now it's become a bigger deal, so it's fun.
Yeah. So you just wrapped up 2 weeks of that.
I did.
It looked
Friday.
pretty intense.
It was intense, man.
A lot going on. A lot of students.
Yeah. Record-breaking numbers at both sessions.
Oh,
so
man,
we
praise
did a
God.
session in San Antonio. We had a little over 180 people there. Woo! And then Fort Worth, we had 130s, I think. So
That's awesome.
It was great. Yeah, I had a lot of new groups that never done anything with us before. And then, of course, some old faithful
Hey,
returners. So,
always.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Getting to see, I guess, the kind of the heart behind starting Launchbox was just like we do this training, all this stuff for students, but the only people who ever see it or benefit from it are like your top tier students in your youth group who want to do like an international trip overseas. Launchbox was like, hey, what if you could bring your whole youth group to something, still get the same basic training and teaching that we do, and still even experience cross-cultural ministry, right? Because we work with a lot of immigrants and refugees at Launchbox, so there's kind of that all-nation side of it.
You're getting the green message as well. Lean into your mic.
Into the mic.
Don't worry,
Oh,
Shu got it.
man.
You got to like.
Man,
It's a little awkward.
Be like right up
was,
in there.
That was very bright.
Yeah.
But,
the sound booth guys yell at us a lot so far.
We get it now.
Yeah.
All right. So should I just start over, man? 'Cause
I guess so. I feel like
there was some
man, that
good
thing's
stuff
still
there.
going. They're very aggressive with their messaging around
I
here.
don't know.
Okay, we got a thumbs up now.
Okay.
Thumbs up.
Is that the thumbs up on just start over? Because
No, he said no.
No to that. Okay.
He's saying bless her heart.
So you have to go back and turn the volume up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yikes.
What else you guys got?
All right,
I'll be honest. I came over here just because the line for the food was like really long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's getting shorter.
And you didn't
That's
want to
fair.
look.
What
You
else
didn't want to be
got?
that bad guy
Well-
to say sit at your own table by yourself, and you saw a mic. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I
Amen.
thought this would be a great way to pass the time.
I
That makes
respect
sense.
it.
That makes sense. We had some questions for you. Now, we know the mayor couldn't be here tonight, but you are close to the mayor, so maybe
Yeah.
you could help
Yeah,
answer
yeah,
some of
yeah.
these questions.
Absolutely.
Some people wanted to know, can the mayor give the iGojan security power rankings? Do you know what the mayor would think on
iGojan
that?
security power ranking.
Yes, that is from Austin Shoemake.
Oh man. So I will have to say, I think Nate Woodall was the first ever bodyguard of the mayor. I think that's what he's referring to.
Okay.
Because, you never know when someone's going to try to start a coup and take down the mayor.
Yeah, it's
And
very important.
yeah, there was one in the works this past
There
week.
was.
Yeah.
There was. And I'll be honest, as great of a security guard as Nate Woodall was, and Nate Woodall made it great because he wore like a suit, right?
Oh, okay,
And
so
he
he's very official.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
he even had like the clear curly wire
Okay,
coming down
yeah.
off his ear,
He wasn't
like
playing.
a true
Yeah,
security
yeah.
guard, sunglasses, and he was very protective of the mayor. Austin Shoemake stepped into his shoes. The baton was passed to him. Austin was a good bodyguard because he added a lot to the humor. So, like, okay, you have to picture this, but like in San Antonio Launchbox, it's hilarious. There's like these three portables, like two sides and one at the end, and there's this
Okay.
ramp that leads up to a deck between them. And they've got this golf cart that they let us use.
That's a bad idea.
So Austin would get on the golf cart, and that's where we did iGoja, right in the middle of that on that deck, and people were going in and out of the portable buildings. And so Austin would like drive the mayor up in the golf cart, and everyone's waving and having to get out of the way. And then you know that scene in Austin Powers when he tries to make the U-turn in the hallway? It was like that. And so he's making like a 12-point turn
Yeah.
to turn that thing around, and the whole time he's yelling at everyone to get out of the way. Man, it was great. But this year, a guy named Chris stepped up. I think I saw him on there.
Is that Christopher Chadwick?
Yeah,
Is that, yeah,
that's him,
yep,
yeah.
yep.
And
He would-
so
he
threat-
also
he,
s-
sa-
wanted
he
to
said
know.
threat averted.
That's right.
So he was the first one to actually bear arms and make them known
Oh wow.
as the
Well-
so
well done,
he,
Chris.
he held these two pistols up, and anytime someone would get close to the mayor, he would totally fire those water pistols right at them.
They would get got.
Yeah,
He'd
he
get
would
'em.
get them, and
Yeah.
they would back up real quick after that.
Yeah.
Smart.
I respect the water pistol.
So-
I thought it was gonna be like more of like a squirt bottle.
Yeah.
It's a little more demeaning. but-
Right.
No,
right.
no,
Wow,
it's
that's-
good to have security that
Wow.
not only talks the talk but walks the walk, right? They're willing to put it on the line
Right,
for the
right.
mayor. So
Right.
that's good to
He
know.
has a bark and also a bite.
That's right. That's right. They don't play around.
So there was this kid, I think he had to have been a middle school kid. He was maybe 7th grade. And I kid you not, like he was part of this coup that was discussed where they were walking around going, hey, we got to throw down the mayor. We got to take him down and all this stuff. And the whole week of Launchbox, dude, I tried to like actually start a conversation with this kid a couple times. And the only 4 words this kid ever said to me in Tyler Launchbox was down with the mayor. Like every time he walked by me, he would go down with the mayor.
True
And I was like,
story.
is there something going, like, is there like a real thing happening?
Yeah.
And so like I think it was on Thursday, I was like, it's probably a cool kid, I'm gonna get to know him. I was like, he was walking by and I'm like, hey man, did you have a good day yesterday? And he looked at me and he goes, down with the mayor, and he walked off.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
Kai
that's it.
held the door open for this gentleman to go into the worship center. And Kai's like, man, it's so good to see you. Didn't even look at him. Just goes down with the mayor and just keeps on walking. It was, you may need
don't have it.
security.
They were very committed to
Yeah.
the bit.
Yeah.
Right, like can you imagine if some of those guys come back next year? They'll have had the whole
Yeah.
year to think
plot,
about.
to think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
how
did
to
talk
actually
about
take down
a
the
little
mayor.
bit on the opening of just how shocking and good base camp can be.
Chris is outing somebody right now publicly. He says Sam Daly was the orchestrator of this.
Oh yeah, Sam, one of the launch crew.
Oh man,
Was like he was the one.
They had an inside man?
planting the seeds. Yeah.
Oh
They did have an
man,
inside
that's rough.
man.
That's when
Yeah.
the coup's gotten serious.
Yeah.
that's the next level.
You say keep
Yes.
your friends closer and your enemies closer.
Wow, good thing you did have your security with you, because that could have
that's right.
escalated.
Could escalated real fast.
Wow, yeah.
Sam, if you're listening, maybe can reconsider your role in all of this. A coup is a very serious thing. So, I don't know. We just need to know who you're loyal to. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying,
got a question here from Dennis. iGo's is still in.
Oh, yes, I was getting there next.
Oh, yeah,
yes, yeah.
sorry.
Dennis did have another question after the security. Is iGosion still in COVID lockdown or no? Kai?
Short answer is no. So
Hey!
we are hoping for the first time in 3 years to do like full-on, legit 2-day base camps again
All
for
right.
international teams. Yeah, we've got teams headed to Honduras and Germany. For our Germany teams, vaccination is required. For Honduras, it is not. And so there's still time to sign up for those, and we're still hoping to do like back to like normal base camp. So our
And where
staff
can they
is all
find that
very
information?
excited.
Is it iGoglobal.org?
iGoglobal.org. Click on trips. It'll all
Okay.
be right there.
There it is.
Yes, sir.
You heard it here. Out of lockdown, trip's going. Lord
So,
willing.
yes, and the answer, Dennis, to your real question behind the question is yes. We do need volunteers for that base camp.
Here's the thing.
Dennis,
I
we'll
feel
see you
like
there.
Dennis just knows that when a base camp, there's like just deep in his heart,
That's right.
he wakes up on a Friday
Yeah.
morning and knows I need to drive to this camp,
Yeah.
and he shows up and boom, there's an
It's
base
just the
camp
Holy
going on.
Spirit.
Yeah,
It's
that
prompting.
question was just to confirm his suspicion.
That's right,
Like
yeah.
the inner tug he felt.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah, he didn't want to give it away.
the
Right.
spider
So-
sense,
Yeah.
tingling.
Yeah.
He just
It makes
knew.
sense.
No.
Dennis, we got a let's go. And Chris telling us, please sign up for FLT.
Quick question. I'm a little out of the loop on the letters and the lingo. Could you interpret FLT
Well,
for the people that are watching that
yeah.
may not know?
Yeah,
Of
so
course,
for-
I know, but
for those of you who are on your ascent to the
yeah.
apex of your career, while we were
I don't know why I
still
put myself through this
we were
time and
still
time
just
again.
plugging away, doing our normal thing at iGo, just kind of content with where the Lord had placed us
Yep.
and the influence He'd given us. And then if you happen to be like climbing the ladder of your career to try to reach that pinnacle position of
Yeah.
what was the position you held, Nathaniel, at the SBTC? What was your actual title?
I was boss man.
No, come on. What was your title?
I was a student associate for the Southern Baptist of Texas Convention, which
okay,
is
that doesn't
a
sound
very
near as impressive as it actually is. So the student associate.
It was a big time.
He's
It was
like
big time.
He's
No.
like the headmaster of student ministry in the
Yeah.
state of Texas, is what he is.
Yeah. You were pulling the strings behind student ministry in the state of
That's right,
Texas.
that's right,
it was
man.
more the confetti cannons.
Yeah.
Is that why you no longer have that job?
Well, here's the thing. OBU.
Now he's over here like, hey, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yeah. OBU's chapel will never be the same.
No, it won't.
Oklahoma Baptist. So a lot of
Yeah.
confetti was shot off.
So anyway.
So
the-
back to the lingo.
Acronyms? No, initials. That's not an acronym.
I don't
it's
know.
An initial.
I didn't do well
What
in
even
English.
is an acronym? I don't even remember. Anyway.
I'm gonna
Initials.
Google that. Y'all keep going.
All right. Yeah. So I feel like I normally know that. Just drawing a blank here. It's all this pressure.
That's right. It's
what
the
it
hot
is.
seat.
It is the hot
that's
seat.
why it's
Yeah.
why it's called that. You know.
So we used to have this program called JSI.
Heard of that before.
Stood for a lot of things, a lot of different things.
No, you're right. It's
But-
an acronym.
It is an acronym.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're talking acronyms.
We're talking acronyms.
All
Not
right.
like we just Googled that, but
So-
we're okay.
Totally
At
knew that.
iGo, we do a lot of things that are just kind of like funny to us, but no one else gets it. And there's some of that stuff where it's why people that are on the inside think it's fun and cool to be on the inside, and it makes it more enduring or whatever. But there's also times when we feel like we need to set that aside and be a little more clear.
Yes.
And that was one of those times. And so
Fair
we
enough.
decided to call these guys. We still wanted to do an acronym because we totally knew what an acronym was. And
Yeah.
wanted to
That's right,
continue
that's right.
down
Obviously,
that
it's common knowledge. Common
Right,
knowledge.
Right. Yeah, who doesn't know that? So we called it FLT, which means Field Leadership Team. So what you knew is JSI.
Oh, yeah, that makes way more sense.
Yeah, you probably never knew what it meant, but it was, hey, that was kind of the cool part, right?
Yeah.
It was JSI.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, now it's FLT, which is Field Leadership Team, which is a little more descriptive of what
Makes
that role
sense.
actually is.
Makes sense.
That's right. I think there was a good change.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll miss JSI and all of its enigmatic definitions. I think
ever evolving.
that's like I think in the 3 summers I was involved, it was told something different every time.
Yeah. That's it. This guy he wasn't just like
Boss
one
man.
of the masters of student ministry in Texas. He was like the head master.
The
of
pinnacle,
Do not
student ministry.
listen.
the peak
You are
of
watching
his.
now. Do not. I don't know which
Yeah.
camera. There's no red light, so I'm just looking at all the cameras. You know Kai. I'm just gonna look at all of
The
them.
absolute
Yeah.
pinnacle.
Oh, it's this one over
Right.
here.
This one?
You know this man. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say.
Well,
All right.
He once invited. Here's a fun story.
Okay.
He once. Oh, hold on. Big Boss Man is going to talk, but we're going to keep talking because he cannot
Nope.
hear us.
Are you still doing this during the?
I think
Well,
so.
I think once it starts, we're just going to do this, but we're still the puppets on the stage. I think.
Okay.
But yeah, one time, Gavin and I were doing a last minute hangout, and then Kai was like, "Yeah, you can like stay at our house. We'll watch Megamind and go to Quick Trip and all this other stuff." He's like, "But I got somewhere to go in the morning, so just like I'll be gone when you wake up, but Emily will be here. Y'all can cook breakfast and all that." But when we woke up, Kai was gone, yes, but then there was also a big pile of stuff that had to go to the junkyard, to the dump. It was one of those like you take your stuff to the dump. And then here's Emily there with
I
like
don't even
cabinets.
remember this.
Oh yeah, there was like stacks of old cabinets. They just
in
did
our
some.
old house in Rowlett.
Yes,
'Cause
in
we
the
were
old
rebuilding
house.
the cabinets.
Yeah, you were rebuilding
yeah.
everything, and she's like, "Oh, I got to take these things to the dump today." And I'm like, "Well played, Kai Martin."
Like you can't just sit there and be like,
We can't
All
just
right.
tell.
two grown
Have
men,
fun.
right? Like,
Yeah, we can't tell Emily like, "Yeah, load it in the back of the truck and take it yourself."
That's
awesome.
We'll
Yeah.
be here rewatching
I don't
Megamind.
remember that, but I'm kind of impressed with myself on that a
Yeah,
little bit.
it was.
That
That's back when Angry Birds was big, when it first started,
Okay.
and so
Yeah, to date ourselves.
I remember things that are useless.
Yeah.
So we played Angry Birds, watched Megamind, and went to Quick Trip with one of those little machines that
That's right.
makes the little.
little shakes.
Oh, dude, those
Shake
are
things?
awesome.
Yeah.
I haven't had one of those in forever.
Yeah,
very good.
we are not
It's worth
sponsored
it.
by Quick Trip, but Quick
Not a
Trip, we
sponsor.
are open to negotiations.
That's right. Yeah. Reach out to us.
And Racetrack has made us an offer. Just saying.
Okay. All right. So.
Do they have the little shake machines?
I don't know. I
Okay.
don't think so.
Oh,
We should
our
find that out.
next
We should
victim
find that
in the
out.
hot seat.
Oh, here we go.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if I can do a drum
Kai
roll.
has
Sorry,
been great. Thank you so much. Hey, shout out to Santos who commented earlier. Thanks for joining. Glad you're here. I do get to keep this jacket. I bought it, so yep, it's mine. Mine
Amazon,
forever.
$60. $60 on
Okay,
Amazon.
Jamie. Before you get yelled at, they have instructed both Kai and Shu to lean into the mic. So
Can I turn it down a little? Because I feel like I'm not as.
I have no idea. I just said yes. I'm not.
You said it very confidently.
That's
yeah,
right.
It's all
I think
about.
that's
don't let
all
them
that
see
you
a
have to
sweat
do. That's
or
right.
something like that.
That's
or
right.
not fake it till you make it. We don't say that anymore.
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. I've
Yeah.
learned a lot of things that we don't say anymore.
So when you were at the pinnacle of your professional life?
No, that's exactly what I did that whole summer. But I was sweating, so I failed in both areas of that.
Oh gosh.
But all right, so we have a new contestant in the iGoja hot seat.
Hello. Yes.
So excited. Kai was
know.
having way too much fun up here.
He
See him
he
from the back
acts
of the
like he
room.
doesn't like the attention, but let's be honest, that's why he created
we
the
know.
mayor,
He loves it.
Yes.
so he
Yeah.
could get all the attention. And so, Jamie, if you would, for everyone that is watching, we've got quite the little active chat. As always, Dennis Jacobs
Oh, hey,
is ever
Dennis.
present
Yeah.
anytime iGo is around.
Chris Chadwick.
Chris on there. Nate jumped on every once in a while. We got Little Shoemake.
That's right.
The other shoe
Little
on
Shoe.
here.
Does he like being called that?
No, we
I
just
don't know.
made it up.
We'll,
It may
we'll probably
stick.
find out here in a moment.
Yeah.
We
he'll-
did give him all the credit and none of the blame, so I think he can deal with that for a little bit.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. So, Jamie, if you would, introduce yourself, how long you've been with iGo, like what was your first experience,
Okay.
and then what is your role currently and how has that evolved since you started at iGo?
Yeah. Yeah. So my husband and I were talking on the way here. This is our 15th banquet, which
Wow. So,
Yeah.
let me do math. This is going to be
Think
bad.
about it. You got this.
17?
You
For
can do that.
18.
That's.
what?
2000, and by 17, I mean 7.
I was like, hey,
I
run
think
that
it was
back.
2007.
Okay.
But it was it 2008 that Nick and I interviewed you for your
Yes, they
summer
are the ones to
internship?
blame for me being here because they gave the thumbs up on me being a JSI.
It's true.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
FLT.
That's why Nathaniel's here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I heard about iGo in 2000 and
Yeah, it kind of
2
hurts
or
to do the
3.
math. Whenever you say it.
yeah.
Yeah.
My first trip was in 2005.
So when like 10th graders now were born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
About 3 years before the iPhone, for reference. Go on, sorry.
Yeah. So 2005 was my first trip as a 1-weeker, and served then 2 summers as a summer intern, and came on staff after that. Once graduated from college and got married, and been on staff since 2009. So
It's awesome.
Wow. And so what is your role? What do you do? What does Jamie do?
currently, yeah. It has changed through the years. It's really whatever Kai tells me to do, because it seems like no matter what role I'm in, he's always my direct supervisor. But
That's a tough place to be.
yeah, well,
Yeah,
I think we work well together. So, but yeah, it's moved from year to year. But currently, I'm what is called a trip coach, formerly known as trip coordinator.
Yeah, Gavin earlier tried to lay a not so subtle hint that he's trying to get in on that.
No. I remember I took the blame. The blame was on me.
Yeah.
Don't you try to put this on
For
me,
the term
Nathaniel.
being changed.
No. That Stephanie and I are volunteering as trip coaches.
Yes.
Or moving that direction.
Yeah. And this man is, and he dropped some subtle hints. He's trying to get some booking out of this. Breakout speaker in Colorado last week.
Oh.
It was a workshop.
It doesn't matter. Even that's even more exclusive. The Gavin workshop.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because there
We're
was
gonna say so.
there was like 3 main speakers and
But here's the thing:
40
the main
workshops.
speakers don't really know what they're doing. That's why they're on the main stage, very vague.
Is that how you felt all last summer?
Yeah, I had no idea what I was
Speaking from
doing.
experience.
Yeah, speaking from experience, the people on stage don't know what they're doing.
Yep.
So awesome. We got to say this real fast because I totally forgot until just now.
I think I know where you're going. Go for it.
So once again, looking at these cameras, and I'm going to find it. There, middle, way over here.
Pointing. Oh, okay.
There we go. We're so good at this.
Yeah, professionals.
Yeah. So tonight, anything that is donated
That's right.
towards iGo Global will be doubled. So Gavin, if someone donates $724,
How dare you?
how much will that be? tonight?
$1,448, I believe, Bob.
That was faster than I could have done.
I'm not even gonna check it because his math is correct. It's iGosian math, close enough count. And so make sure, golly, take advantage of that.
That's right.
$5 becomes $10. It's almost like 2 fish feed 5,000.
Yeah, it's a lot like that, I think. Nathaniel.
Yeah.
That's how doubling works, I
It's a
believe.
minor miracle, a little miracle. See, who put us in charge? And there's no one to hear anything that we're saying in this room.
I know. I thought about that
on our
earlier
mics.
when I was watching you.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, so Jamie, is there anything on here?
Dennis backed me up. I think he said I got it right.
Dub had little
1,448.
shoe. So Austin prefers a shoe.
A shoe.
A shoe.
So it's like when you
Got it,
sneeze,
Austin.
a shoe.
I'm sure that's what he was going for.
Yeah, that's what he was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us, a shoe.
Yeah, a shoe.
A shoe.
A shoe.
Bless you.
All right, Jamie.
Yes.
With all of your years, this is the T that the people want to know.
Okay.
That means the cool lingo, the inside talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the students say T, but I'm not sure.
I won't be able to check you.
Favorite base camp memory.
Ooh, it's a good
And
one.
by favorite, it usually means most ridiculous.
Has someone else already answered this?
No, first. I think you're the first one we asked.
It's a hot
we
seat.
talked about our
Yeah.
first base camp memory in general,
I
but not favorite.
just skipped the taxi because I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
I saw where they were dropping people off, and I ran.
Yeah.
And we barricaded the door so they couldn't come in that next morning.
Yeah. Okay. I have a favorite from when I attended base camp, but then
Okay.
I have a favorite ridiculous one when I was on staff
Okay.
at base camp. So can I tell both?
You
Yes,
can.
please.
Yeah,
Please.
we got 6 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So my first experience with iGo, our base camp was at Dallas Baptist University
Okay, go
in the dormitory.
Patriots.
Patriots, yeah.
Yes,
I thought you were about to
yeah.
say Pacers. I was like,
Go Pacers.
yeah,
Wow.
Patriots. There's actually a lot of Patriots in this room, I think, sitting at your table. I think there's some sitting at y'all's table.
Hey.
But anyways, it was at the dorm, and when we did not get our luggage back, which is a thing that sometimes
Yeah,
happens.
iGosian Airways.
Never
do not
heard of that
fly
before.
them.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Not reliable.
Seriously.
They're reliable at one thing,
Yeah.
losing luggage.
Yes, it's true. You never know, and you never know when you're going to get it back. But since this was my first experience with iGo Airways, we thought that it was part of the challenge that we had to go look for our luggage.
Oh, this is incredible.
And find our luggage.
Okay.
And so our team went and found the room where our luggage was and stole it back.
Amen.
And
Well done.
to this day, iGo staff now locks whatever room we put the luggage in. Because
Way to
our
leave a
team,
legacy.
That's right. It's always good to be the one that caused the new rule. That's incredible.
That's a
That
good
was
life
us.
lesson. Seek to be the one to cause new rules.
Yeah.
That's right.
We thought it was kind of like a scavenger hunt. Oh, you didn't get your luggage, so we need to go find it and
Yeah.
take initiative.
That makes
and-
sense. Yeah, you showing initiative.
Yeah.
I like it.
And this was also the same team that one of our team members stole a gallon of milk at the market instead of purchasing it. He
Did
just grabbed
y'all-
it and ran.
Did you have to suffer through the tying of your hands together to make a sandwich?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so-
man. I think I'd repress that until you just mentioned it right
Yeah, so like Gavin and I would have had our hands tied together, and we would have walked through this line to make a sandwich.
Make a sandwich.
So here's the: most people are right-handed, but not the person I got partnering up with. No, he was left-handed, and so both our dominant arms were just. It was eating a sandwich left-handed. I've never done it before, and I would not recommend it again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we quit doing that at some point because we realized what is really the point.
that's a, that. We'll end that one there.
Yeah.
We'll end that one.
Yeah.
Jamie, does iGo Global have a Venmo?
I think so, yes.
There's a question from Mr. Dennis
Okay.
Jacobs asking, what is
Oh.
iGo Global's Venmo?
Shu knows, and he's kind of walking this direction.
Hey, let's just let's.
We will find out and let
Oh.
you know.
We do.
Oh, he just
I'm
took
pretty
a
sure
knee.
we do.
Who's the real boss around here?
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it
For
out.
sure.
So
Don't
we're
know
gonna
what it
come
is.
back to you.
Plenty
Hey, I can
of
look it
time.
up, maybe.
There you go. You look it up. All right. So Gavin,
Yes, Nathaniel.
you worked a couple base camps.
I have. Yep.
So the teaching you talked earlier about bottom line,
Yep.
hope of the world, that kind of thing. So I recently found my old notebooks,
Okay. Yeah.
and I went and I was going to man, I'm going to pull out some of my notes. I didn't take any notes. It just said ancient work ? And I was like, man, I've
a
really
You had
locked
that
in.
after
It's a
the ancient
miracle.
word talk? Like, I still don't understand it?
I
or-
was still thrown off by everything that was going on. I was just a little East Texas boy. People are yelling at me, standing in the line behind. I didn't have documents right. I didn't even know what a passport was until I was like, look at this cool thing. Yeah.
Meanwhile, I took copious notes. I have like textbooks worth of notes
Do you
Yeah.
really?
for most, like the first 2 or 3 times through, and then after that, the notes thinned out a little bit. They got a little more focus.
Oh,
but
good call.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Did we stall
Yes.
well enough?
The Venmo is at iGo Global.
Oh,
So,
Oh,
well,
who would have thought?
that was anticlimactic.
one word.
Yeah. What's your first initial reactions? Because we're not sure if everyone will go back and watch the YouTube live stream, but we posed this question to Shu and asked him if he was the I in iGo or Eyewitness Ministries. Who would you say is the I in the iGo Global?
The Running Man.
The running man.
Oh, okay.
So here's the thing. I've looked at this running man
Yeah.
for years.
He's been there from the beginning.
One, either our boy's got a satchel.
Where is he?
He's everywhere.
No, his knee's bent.
Yeah,
if
but
you,
his
like,
knees is
but-
the part below the mid chest
I'm
area.
thinking not the see-through part, like the dark colored part.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, is he had a satchel, or those are like some
Or
running
like
shorts?
a running vest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you really get to the
Maybe his running shorts are just white.
This is why you didn't take notes on ancient work.
this is what I see. I see what is this man wearing, and why is he running? Like, what is he running to? Is he running from?
Full disclosure, a couple stories, Nathaniel. One, these won't be surprises to you. Nathaniel used to have an acronym. We know what that means now.
Yeah, we had the Google acronym.
Tonight?
Yeah, with Kai.
Just a moment ago.
Yeah,
live.
with Kai.
Good.
When Nathaniel wanted to take a nap when he was supposed to be doing something else, like
Y'all, let me tell you,
having a quiet time.
this is wisdom. A bomb is about to be dropped that is going to change your life.
like
All right?
having a quiet time or studying or taking notes. He would tell everybody he was having a little QT with JC, which was supposed to be quiet time with Jesus, but was really code for I'm taking a nap.
Yeah.
My
Because here's the
QT, my
thing.
In what
QT with
settings have you
JC.
done this?
Oh, very frequent.
I was gonna say, I cannot think of a setting where he didn't do it.
Cardiff, on the train to Swansea.
Like while you're
So
leading
that was the main
teams?
one.
Yeah,
It was while we were on the
I
train to
told the kids
Swansea.
I couldn't talk. I was like, this is the quiet car. And it wasn't, but I told them that. And then you can't, I was making myself available to dreams and visions,
Yeah, that was the.
but you can't do it awake.
Yeah, I mean,
You know?
Tell them that's what you were
Yes.
doing.
I was-
Okay.
yeah.
it's
I was
hard
like-
to argue with that logic.
Yeah, little QT with JC. Don't try to find it in the Bible.
I will say,
Oh.
like I said, in full disclosure, to put myself in on one, there was a training base camp. I think it was at the Great Lake Lavon. Nathaniel and I were I don't even remember what we were supposed to be doing. Prayer walking, preparing to lead teams, doing something.
It was
And
a leadership. I think
it was some type of leadership thing.
retreat.
Yeah.
And we justified instead, there was a ping pong table.
I remember this.
And we hadn't had the
outside
time to
the
play.
cafeteria.
Yes.
And we really wanted to play. So we said, I was like, hey, Nathaniel, what if we just play ping pong, but every time we hit the ball, we have to either quote a Bible verse or say a name of God? And I was like, that seems spiritual enough, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. And
That's
so
a different form of Bible drill.
Yeah, we were.
it was
really
it
hard.
was much more difficult than I anticipated.
You gotta be quicker
Yeah, I was like, I'm just gonna.
if you're good.
If I miss, I'm like, I don't. Psalm 1:1,
Yeah.
Psalm 1:2.
Yeah, we definitely did not do anything else that whole training time. We played
Yeah.
ping pong.
All right, so Jamie, while you're here, we got a little bit of extra time.
What?
Yeah, so this is like free time now. This is
right.
like
Free
all
time.
skate.
Okay.
So, of
guts
the
only.
4 core values, which one do you think you have seen the most growth in your life?
Joy of the sower.
Oh, wow, that was
She
quick.
did not even think
That was
about
quick.
that one.
Okay, I want to hear why.
I think it's come more full circle since becoming a parent and having to understand and not expecting that or I don't know, just really having to take joy in sowing and not basing someone's reaction, whether it's your own child or someone you meet, overseas on a trip or a coworker or, wherever you are, not expecting instant fruit, instant results, and truly taking joy in the privilege it is to sow those seeds of the gospel and trust that the Lord, that his word does not return void and that he's going to do, that he's being honored in that sowing of seeds and he's the one that gives the growth. So
Man.
I think it's just kind of, it's taken on a new form since becoming a parent and really has to be something that I hold on to daily. That's how I could say that so quickly because it can be easy to get discouraged if you don't
Man,
hold on to that truth. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
so good.
See, and this is why we brought Jamie on last.
That's right.
because
That's
I'm
right.
the more
This
serious.
is the real content.
Anchored it in. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And we're together now.
Yeah. Kai did okay. On a scale of 1 to 36, I'd give him like a 24.
Yeah, that's
So
pretty
pretty
good.
good.
do that math. That's like a solid
22.3, but
C plus.
who's counting?
Yeah, shoe was shoe.
Yes.
That's all we have to say there.
That's right.
Yeah.
But we just got the 2-minute warning. So we just got 2
2-minute
minutes.
warning.
So Jamie, anything final words of wisdom? Just life? Maybe a favorite
Life wisdom.
recipe of yours?
Tip.
A tip?
You want to laugh hack?
A
Yes.
little bit of
Always.
life hack, a little bit of tea.
Oh, I don't know. Give me a category.
You're really going strong on that word tonight.
I know, tea.
Can any of Nathaniel's students comment and help him out?
Yeah, let's do miscellaneous wisdom.
That's not helpful.
Nope,
This broadcast.
it is. You left it open.
I now know how to deliver a litter of puppies. if you need that.
Wow.
Hey, if y'all, this is not sponsored by, what y'all's company?
Ronberg.
Ronberg?
Reinberg.
Reinberg.
Yes,
Reinberg.
it's
Go.
Nathaniel. Nathaniel.
Oh,
Yeah. See,
Yeah,
Lindsay,
Nathaniel.
Haven't you
my wife-
spent time in Germany?
gosh.
Actually, I haven't.
Have you not?
No.
Surprising, neither one of us, yeah.
Yeah. Sadly, it was in Paris. Yikes.
You never went to Munich?
No, not yet.
No.
2023 though. Ooh, we're coming. Church at the Cross, heading your way.
Nice.
Coming in hot.
Nice.
All right, so I think we are good. So yeah, so Jamie, if you have a pregnant puppy and need help on
Not
how
a pregnant
to
puppy.
pregnant dog
The pregnant dog has the
that
puppies.
makes
Yeah. If you have a pregnant puppy, you have other problems. You need to figure out.
immaculate. Never mind. All right, and we're gonna before we get any other heresy going on,
Right.
we are going to go live. And so, Jamie, thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
for
Jamie.
joining us on the first
It was great
ever
having you.
iGo Global Celebration Banquet Hot Seat Table interview.
That's right.
YouTube Live.
Hey, real quick, I think Nathaniel's still about to go live, but I wanted to remind us tonight only, any gifts given toward iGo Global will be doubled. That means twice the amount
that's
of what
times
is given.
two.
That is times 2. I think that is how that math works. The Venmo is at iGo Global, all one word, and you can also go to igoglobal.org. This is great stuff.
Yeah. Only American dollars, no iGoja dollars.
That's correct.
Here, those are not anything. So, we are going to transfer over to a video. So take a look at this now.
Welcome. This is our version of March Madness. And when I say that, I mean it in so many different ways. But our ministry just finished 2 weeks of Launchbox. We were in San Antonio, and then we were in Fort Worth. Some of you guys were involved, all of our students were involved, and some of you guys were there just cooking food, which was awesome. And we came right off of those 2 weeks, decided we needed a break, so let's throw a big party. And this is one of those things where scheduling stuff and all those things happen, and we had to figure out a new plan. Our banquet's usually in February, and this year we needed to do it in March. And so it was right after the 2 weeks of Launchbox. And I just want you guys to know that only happened this year because of some amazing volunteers. Absolutely amazing. And I want to go ahead and give them credit right at the very beginning. Brianne Fierro is over there, and she helped coordinate so much of this banquet. Jean Thomas is right here, and she helped with registration and make sure everybody found a place to go. And Janie Page did all this decorating, and that girl has got some skills when it comes to decorating. She made that, I think with her bare hands. She made that Running Man thing for the photo backdrop. So thank you so much. HCA lets us come in and use this place, and we're just so thankful to be here. So it feels like a little bit of madness for us because we just finished those 2 weeks, and it was an amazing 2 weeks, and we're rolling right into the banquet. But sometimes you just like momentum and just keeps going. And so this is also first time to do a banquet in a while. I don't know if you guys remember, but we didn't do a banquet last year. Which part are you clapping for? We didn't do one last. We didn't do one last year because of. I know you thought it was COVID, but it wasn't. We didn't do one last year because the mother of all winter storms hit us, and no one had power. So we're like, nobody's going to want to eat. And so we didn't do a banquet last year because of that. It wasn't a COVID-related thing at all. It was that winter storm that was so crazy, and I don't want to talk about it too much because I know it's too close to home for some of you guys. I see you. But obviously, COVID has been a huge factor for everyone. There's no way to even really adequately describe all the ways that COVID has played a role in our lives over the last couple of years, and in a ministry like ours, it's been a big role. And so I want to tell you a couple things. Since we haven't gathered in a while, I want to just kind of talk about a couple things with that, and I want to tell you how it affected us, but only to show you really clearly how we adjusted and are moving forward. Which, everybody's done that. How it affected us, we know, and then we've adjusted and we move forward. And I want you to hear that from the iGo perspective, because some of you guys are new to this thing and you're just learning about iGo, and we're going to try to fill in some blanks tonight. And some of you have been around for a while and you've watched this thing, and it may just be something that's really helpful for you to see, yes, it did affect us, and then we're moving forward. And when I talk about the effect of that, there's a lot of different ways you can explain that. There's a lot of different ways you can say, okay, it did this, it touched this, it touched this. But this is a fundraising banquet. It's a celebration fundraising banquet, and I want you guys to know how the effect played out on us on a funding resource level, because that's such a big part of what we do and how we are sustained as a ministry. And the best way for me to explain that to you is talk about the different aspects of where funding comes from for us to do this thing called iGo. And the first thing I want you to see is that we have a staff that works at iGo. Every single one of them has another job, but they work at iGo because they feel like God has called them to work at iGo. And all of our staff raise their own support, which is why we say that God has called them to iGo, because this is a pretty lousy job. But it's a pretty cool thing if God has called you to it, because He provides. And so everybody on staff is responsible for raising personal support. Some of you are here because of staff member that you support and they invited you to come. And that's a big part of that. And so our staff, that's part of the funding that we get as a ministry to continue to do what God has called us to do, is how people like you guys come alongside of our staff to support them. And I want to make sure you know who our staff is. There are some staff that are not here because one of the things we learned over the last 2 years is that you don't have to live anywhere close to us to get work done. We can do Zoom calls and all these things. So we have staff that live in Nashville. We have staff that live all over the place. But the staff that are here, I want to actually highlight them for you so you can see them if you don't know exactly who they are, if you've never met them before or whatever. And I'll start with Brad Cardwell, who's right back in the back. Brad, wave for everyone. Brad has been serving here at iGo alongside me for at least 20 years, something like 21 years. And just so you'll know, this is our 22nd year as a ministry. So Brad and I have been around for a while, and we say all the time we're going to sleep on bunk beds till we're 80. That's just what we're called to do. And Brad he helps me lead this thing. Like, he and I lead this thing together in so many different ways, and he's been doing that alongside me since the very early days when we didn't know what we were doing at all. And I want you to hear about this in just a minute, but Brad is even now taking on a new role with this partnership where we merged with Dwell Camps. And so we're going to have a leadership component to this camp that started out of our church with Nick Gainey, and Brad's taking on a new role with that. But he oversees operations and all different kinds of things. He's been around for quite a while. And then Kai Martin, where's Kai? Kai, wave, stand up, something, do a dance, I don't know. Kai was, like, crazy trivia, Kai was a student just out of high school on the first iGo trip ever in 2001. Then he went off to college, decided he wanted to be around us more, and came back, transferred to a college here in the Dallas area so he could start interning with us, finished college, and became on staff. And so he's been around for all 22 years, basically. And Kai leads all of our trips. Like, he kind of coaches our trip coaches, but he also Launchbox is his baby. Like, he leads Launchbox from start to finish. And so we just finished those 2 weeks, and that's why Kai's sitting over there just looking kind of tired, because he has been spent with the 2 weeks that we had, but he leads that, and it's a huge part of what we're doing, especially in light of the last 2 years. So that's Kai Martin. And Jamie Lee Gainey is right over here. Jamie Lee, stand up, do the dance. Just going to wave, that's it. Okay. We don't know how long Jamie Lee's been on staff, but it's somewhere around 12 or 13 years. You say that you do, but you don't. You know you don't. So Jamie Lee served with us as a student multiple summers, and then she came on staff after she graduated from college at Howard Payne, and she coaches most of our teams. And we have teams, going all over the place all the time, especially a couple of years ago, but she coaches most of them. She has a real capacity to do that. So she coaches our New York team, she coaches our Germany team, she coaches our Honduras team, she coaches Japan teams when we go back to Japan. And what am I missing? There's something else probably you're doing. This is no end to your talent. And so Jamie Lee has been on our staff serving in that capacity for quite a while. She's so organized, so great with logistics, and she also really, really relates well to the parents that are sending their students with us. So Jamie Lee. And then Sarah Arnott. I said it right, didn't I? Yeah, I mostly don't, because we just don't hardly do that. And I don't know how long Sarah's been on staff either, but it's the exact same time as Jamie Lee, whatever that is. They came along at the same time, both got out of college about the same time, came on staff. And all of our T-shirts, design stuff, that is Sarah's world that she lives in. She's got a real eye for that and real talent for that. And so when you're checking out that stuff, you go, man, that looks really cool. It's because Sarah did it. And she's had a lot of different roles over the years with us, but that's the one that she's focused on right now. I'm so glad that she's a part of the team. And then Rowdy is right over here. Rowdy Rogers. His name is James, but we call him Rowdy for obvious reasons. And Rowdy, full-time teacher at Wiley East, right? Wiley East High School. And he helps coordinate all the logistics for when we do training events. So he's had some time on his hands for lately, but we love the fact that Rowdy does that and helps us with that, and he's on our team. Like I said, there's other staff that just aren't here because they live so far away, but I wanted to highlight those staff members because if you're connected to them and you're supporting them, that's a huge part of how we are provided for, how God provides for this ministry. Then, the other leg of this three-legged stool is that we have one fundraising event every year, this banquet. And we basically started this thing doing a big, giant banquet out at South Fork Ranch, and it was fun. We had 300-something people in there, and we pay a ton of money to do it and raise a little bit. And then a few years ago, we're like, our people just want to get together, and they want to hear about the ministry, so we kind of scaled down the banquet and really began to ask people to really support us in this, and God has been so good. Some of you guys have been to this banquet, and you've been supporting us, and you've been sacrificially, generously giving, and that's been a huge part of how God has provided for us, especially over these last 2 years, is through your faithful giving. And so we don't do a whole lot of events. We don't do golf tournament and stuff. Brad's the only one that likes golf, and he's definitely the only one good at it. And so we don't do that. We just do this one banquet, and we see God provide a lot from that. And then the third thing that provides for us is when we do trips. So when we take students overseas, we have training fees built into that and administrative fees built into that helps us fund the operations of this ministry. The banquet doesn't cover all that. Staff are raising their support, and so we do trips, and that covers a big part of our budget every year. And we haven't really done that in 2 years. It's been kind of crazy. 2020, we didn't do any trips. No one did. If you know the iGo culture at all, then you know that every year we have a different mascot that travels with the teams. It's just a stuffed version, not a live thing. But 2020, we had picked the mascot of the llama. And then we figured out, when it's the year of the llama, you stay home with your mama. And so that's what we did. And we didn't have any students go anywhere. We didn't do any training, anything, except for right in the middle of the summer, we put together a virtual training event. We had 7 churches that jumped on and tuned into us, training them virtually, and then they did mission stuff in their hometown. And we just gave that to churches. We just did that for free to try to help people in the midst of that craziness of 2020. But that's a huge hit to us. And then 2021, trips began to come back, but we didn't do any international trips. And when we do international trips, it's just a bigger part of our budget. It's a bigger part of our provision. And so you have a booklet in front of you. You can kind of see the numbers of how much this kind of started giving us these body blows on the funding side of this ministry. And we're sitting there going, okay, what's going on? Now, before you get all sad, let me tell you this. God is so faithful. And he provided. He has sustained this thing. I mean, and I'm not just saying that because I felt like, wow, this is kind of going to turn into a downer. I need to say something. No, I'm telling you, like he provided in ways we didn't expect him to provide. And he sustained us. In 2020, we had our biggest banquet ever, and we raised the most money we'd ever raised. And we were like, God is about to really grow this thing. We're about to expand and do all this new stuff. And then right while we were at Launchbox, the pandemic happened and shut everything down, and we didn't do anything. That banquet sustained us. It was God's provision when we didn't see it. His plan, it's always bigger. His ways are higher, and he sustained us and he provided us. And maybe we got one of those loans from the government. All the different things that people did during that time, we did that too. And then we wrote out another year in 2021, just thanks to God's faithfulness, thanks to faithful giving. Last year's banquet was virtual, it was online. God provided a lot of resources that we need while we weren't doing trips, while we weren't doing this thing, while we're missing basically a whole arm of our funding. God was providing. But the real good news is how he gave us this opportunity in the midst of that time to adjust some things. How he started turning us and saying, hey, yeah, you can't do this. And the reason why we didn't do international trips is none of the countries would let us come. And so he said, look around you. We're already doing Launchbox, which I've said that word a few times, and some of you don't know what that is. But that's a week-long mission trip here in Texas working with internationals and refugees, and it's designed for youth groups. And so he said, let's build up Launchbox. He gave us these opportunities to expand into some different areas here in the States where we could travel to. And so last year we started a partnership in New York City with this amazing missionary on the ground in New York. I mean, he's absolutely phenomenal. And while we're in New York, we had a team from our church. This is where our church meets, Crosspoint Community Church, the church where I'm a pastor. And one of our student teams went up to New York. And while they were there in a week, they met people from 27 different countries in 1 week in New York. Because the nations are here. And so God was basically saying, yeah, you can't travel to the nations, but I've already brought the nations here. There's thousands of refugees in Fort Worth. There's hundreds of refugees in San Antonio. There's all kinds of people from all over the world in New York. And so we just began to shift things and begin to focus on stateside opportunities. And so in 2021, we started seeing that start to come back a little bit. We also started asking a question, how do we train churches when we can't travel like we used to? How do we really do that? And so we created an online training so we could resource more churches with that. We sell that for a real reasonable price just to get it in the hands of more and more churches so they can engage with our training as they're doing whatever they're doing on their level of mission trips. This dwell camps that I talked about, Nick Gainey had started this through our church, and it just started growing like crazy. And we said, we've always been calling students at camps. We love camp. We think that youth camp is a huge strategic part of the discipleship journey of a student. So why don't we get involved in that? Why don't we merge these two ministries? And so Dwell Camps it's growing so fast, and we wanted to be in the middle of that so that we can continue to call students and we can continue to train students in that environment as well. And so it's just these things that God has opened up. Here's these opportunities right in front of us. He's like, hey, look over here, look at what I'm doing over here, and let's get involved. So we just finished 2 weeks of Launchbox. San Antonio, we had 180 total participants in San Antonio. 7 different church groups came and served refugees and served people that are just really in need in San Antonio that week. And we were training them the whole time that they're doing that. And then we went to Fort Worth. We had like 135, 140. We never really got a good count. We needed an education minister to come count them for us, but then it had been like 800 or something. So we had about 130 people there. We had over 300 people in a couple weeks of Launchbox. Because we saw the growth, we saw churches wanting to get their students back involved in missions, but travel's still really tricky. We started to say, we need to do Launchbox in the summer. And with our New York trips and our Launchbox trips that are planned for this summer, we already have over 200 participants signed up for those things. So we have in 2022, we have over 500 students scheduled to participate with iGo this year, which, by the way, is our biggest year since 2012. That's God, y'all. This is just us saying, okay, what do we do now? And him showing us, hey, here's an opportunity, and Churches want to do this, and they're trying to figure it out, and they're looking to us and going, hey, what are y'all doing? And we're like, hey, God has given us this great partner in New York. We've got this great working, this thing called Launchbox, where we're going to train them all the time, and we're going to send you out, and we're going to send you back home to live on mission. And so it's just been what God has been doing. And I could talk about New York. We still, this summer, we have teams that are planning to go to Honduras and planning to go to Germany. We're still watching everything. Honduras looks good. Germany, with all the war stuff, I mean, it's just kind of crazy. But we're watching everything. We still have teams planning to go to those places. But I could tell you about New York. I could tell you about these things. This Launchbox thing, I wish I could talk about forever. I mean, I wish I could just make Kai come up here and just go for an hour, bro. Talk about Launchbox, because it's amazing. What we see students, for the first time ever, we got middle school students that can come and serve with us, because we don't take middle school students overseas. All right? That's the scariest environment imaginable. That's all you have to say. But we got middle school students coming and serving these refugee families and these children at Launchbox, and it's just absolutely beautiful. And so we don't have time to tell you all about it and everything that goes on in a week of Launchbox. We did put a little quick 1 minute, it's only 1 minute, so crazy it's only 1 minute, highlight video about Launchbox that I wanted you to see. So check this out. That's just a quick picture of those 2 weeks. It's been so amazing. And, you know, when I'm talking about all this, I'm just thinking about, the Bible says God works all things for good. And those who know him, those who love him, are called according to his purpose. He works all things, not just a few things, not just the things that seem convenient. He works all things for good. And global pandemic comes, there's a lot of bad. There's a lot of stress, a lot of frustration. And in the midst of that, we've seen God. And at iGo, and I know in all of your lives, you've seen the evidence of him working all things for good, him doing these amazing things. But it's also taught us something, hasn't it? And the pandemic has taught us what's essential and what's not essential in a new way. We never thought about it before, but then we had labels thrown at us, and we had to figure that out. We learned that community with real live humans is pretty essential, that we need that. I think we learned that church is essential, that we need to gather with God's people, that's the pandemic showed us that, and it refined us a little bit in that. And I want you to know that I'm more convinced than ever before that missions is essential. And I'm not just convinced of that because that's what we do. I'm convinced of that because that's just what God's word says. That his mission to be glorified and known and made famous in every nation, tribe, and tongue has not been canceled. It hasn't even been slowed down. It's right on schedule because it's God's mission, and he said he's going to do it. He said that one day the knowledge of his glory will cover the earth like water covers the sea. He's going to reach every nation, tribe, and tongue. They're all going to be there with us in heaven worshiping. So his mission is right on schedule. And so this thing that we do at iGo, man, I hope that you see the essential aspect of it. If you're not convinced, find a staff member before you leave and ask them why they think this is essential. Be prepared. Maybe stay seated. Because we got plenty of answers for why what we're doing is essential. But the Bible says do it. God says do it. He gave us a great commission. That's what he sent us to do. He said, you're going to be his witnesses, my witnesses, Jesus said, in Jerusalem and all Judea, Samaria, which is like the place they didn't want to go, so like, Oklahoma. And even to the ends of the earth. So we're going to do that because that's what God said to do. But the reason why I believe that what we do at iGo is essential is because of the training. Because we're taking a generation and we're not just doing mission trips, we're training them to live on mission. And the way that we do that, back before COVID, when we had base camps and all this stuff, we had this iGosian experience, a cross-cultural experience. The whole first day of training was them coming to our fake country, Igosia, having to figure out our customs, have to go through our immigration, passport, fly on our airlines, lose their luggage for a night. It was a crazy experience. And then we would stop that. The next day, we would just give them a foundation of what missions is all about. A biblical foundation, 4 core values straight from the Bible of here's why we do missions. And that's what you have to do. If you're going to train students for missions, you have to tell them why we're doing this. And you have to go to the Bible and show them this is why we do this. Here's what God's Word says. And then you have to tell them here's how you do it right. And when you do that, here's what we see. Short-term missions has a long-term impact. And I don't know if you've been on a short-term trip with somebody else or at another time in your life, but there is a lot of short-term mission trips that are done well, and there's a lot of them that don't have any long-term impact at all. And what we did 22 years ago, we said, how can we do this different? And we didn't get that wording until just a few years ago when we realized, here's what we're doing. It's short-term missions, but it's creating a long-term impact. And the reason why is because we're training these students. Here's why we do this, and here's how we do it well. Short-term missions, long-term impact, and that is essential for this next generation. I'm worried about a generation that's missed that for a couple years, and we're seeing God expand what we're doing because we're ready to get back to work in a big way so this generation doesn't miss out. Short-term missions, long-term impact. That's the essential part of it. And so I could walk through those core values and walk through that teaching and talk about how we teach the gospel and how we do the cross-cultural training. I could tell you all that, but here's the better way that you can see that. I want you to hear the long-term impact. So I don't know while you were eating if you noticed that this was going on over here, and I don't know what they're wearing. So Nathaniel Coons, wave, and Gavin Hart. These are... you should probably hold that until you see what happens. So... These are 2 alumni. These are 2 iGosians, as we would call them. Repeat offenders. I don't know how many trips they went on. Maybe they'll tell you in just a second. But when I talk about what we're doing and what we're seeing God do through this ministry to take students on short-term trips and create a long-term impact, I want you to hear from them. And so Brad is going to interview them. What they were doing during dinner is they were doing a live stream to all of our iGosians out there, and it was just crazy. And I can't wait to watch it back later because those 2 guys are trouble, as you can tell. We're live right now streaming to everybody. But Brad, I'm going to throw it to you. Good luck. I don't know what. They just showed up that way, man. That's all I could figure out. But yeah.
Got it. Okay. All right. Can y'all hear me? Okay.
Tilt that back if you want to do that.
Yeah. All right. So what we want to hear from you guys is the other side of iGo, because iGo Global's goal is not just 500, 600, 700 kids. That's going to be nice, and we enjoy that. And it's not just to go to as many places and not to have these amazing missions experiences that all of our students have. That's not just the end goal. The end goal is kind of you guys minus the suits. These young men who are leading their families well, leading in the church. So tell us a little bit about where you are in ministry, a little bit about your family, and where you're at. Go for it.
You did point first. So my name is Gavin Hart. I serve at Christ Community Church at Rancho Village in southwest Oklahoma City as a minister of student discipleship and international missions. Been there for almost 6 years now. My wonderful wife Stephanie's down here, and we have 3 awesome kids, a 5-year-old daughter named Ada and 2 sons, Alden and Finn. And so we've been serving our community there for a while.
Good, thank you. Nathaniel?
Yeah, so my name is Nathaniel Coons, and I serve as the student minister at Church at the Cross in Grapevine, Texas. I've been there 6 months, so I got it figured out. Crushing it. But no, so I've been there. My wife and Lindsay, she's not here. She saw my suit and said no. Bless her heart. But $60, Amazon, best purchase you'll ever make. But no, so we went. So she went with iGo as well.
Yep.
And so we kind of met on a trip in 2009, and then got married in 2016.
Yeah.
Down the road.
Good. Yeah, we have a lot of those iGo weddings that have happened over the last 10 or 12 years. We've a lot of them. I can't even count. So, all right. So tell everybody, what is this long-term impact? So we're not just mission trips. Tell us about the base camp training that you received, the core values. Mention a few of those. How did that impact you long-term when you received that training as a high school student, and then you came back the next year and you heard those same things, and you heard preaching, the expository preaching of the word. How did that impact you at the time and now? And kind of the long-term impact of the teaching.
Yeah, you pointed first. When I look back, we talked a little bit on the live stream. I found my old notebooks when we were moving. So each year at base camp, you get a little notebook with the little mascot on it, so that way you can take notes, things like that. And I realized I am a terrible note taker because I went back and it was just like ancient work ? And that's all it was. I didn't really know what was going on. But hearing these core values, because I think in the church we can overcomplicate stuff really easily just so that we feel smarter, or we're just trying to get it out the best way that we can, and so there's long sentences and all this other stuff. But iGo's core value teaching just breaks it down into 4 easy, simple core values that honestly shaped and really shook kind of how I viewed and interacted with Scripture. And then also with international missions or living missionally, because I grew up in a small East Texas town of 800 people. I was at church every Sunday night, Wednesday night, Saturday night, getting ready for Sunday. My father was the pastor, and so I had a foundational understanding of Scripture. I felt a call in my life to ministry, but it wasn't until I got to iGo that what I was trying to figure out and stumbling through, I found through just these core values. And the core values are the bottom line, that God's glory is ultimately what we are, our end goal is. So everything is for God's glory. The ancient work, that we're not starting any sort of new work. God's been working there for years. The joy of the sower, of just sowing the seeds of the gospel faithfully, knowing that that's what he has called us to do obediently, and he brings the growth and the harvest. And then hope of the world. Yeah, my favorite one.
Your employer. Yeah, your employer.
Yeah, my employer. But no, the hope of the world. And that was really the core value that stuck out to me the most, is because I'd heard the teachings of the role of the church in missions, but just the language that was used, that the church is God's chosen agent to get his glory to the nations, to sharing the gospel with every tribe, nation, tongue, and language. And he doesn't need the church, but yet he uses the church in that way. Yeah. And so it really opened my eyes a little bit more to, and that's one of the things that I love about iGo Global, is they're not trying to be the church. Every trip that they go on, they are connected to a local body, and we are just extra hands and feet and mouths for that church for that week to help further the work that they are doing. And so when I understood that untaught I was a superhero coming in to do it. But no, I'm here just to serve the church, and that's what God's called me to do. And so when I think back of those trainings, it's Hope of the World was the one that really stood out to me.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
He covered a lot, but Kevin?
Yeah. No, that was good. That was good, man. We were talking on the live stream a little bit, and similar in the way God used iGo, the training and everything, to really change the course of my life. I mean, it's not an exaggeration to say I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for iGo and the way God used iGo Global and Shu and Brad and Kai and so many others in my life. I didn't grow up like in a Christian household, so when I was introduced to iGo, I'd been a believer for all of 3 years. And then when the first time I heard the teachings was, 4 years in my walk with Jesus, and hearing that it wasn't about me. Like, I knew the basics. I'd learned a lot in that 4 years. The Lord had called me to himself, and I was inside the church every time I got a chance, but as part of a small Southern Baptist church in Oklahoma. And so I knew the basics, but there was still a lot of learning. And it was the first time I'd really heard the biblical truths about God wanting his name to be made famous, that right. God is all about his own glory because he's the most glorious. And so that reshaped the way I saw the entire world, the way I saw myself in the world. And that, along with ancient work, this idea of really stepping into like God's work is so much bigger than me. Helped start a journey that by God's grace I'm still working on. You can ask my wife if this is true or not, but of moving the spotlight off of me and onto God. Right, of seeing it's not about me. It's really all about Him. And so, yeah, that changed the trajectory of my life. I ended up going, because of the teaching and training I experienced at iGo, I ended up doing culture and anthropology when I was in college. That's my bachelor's degree. I went on staff as a youth pastor and eventually as a Baptist Collegiate Ministries director, and started working with youth and college students because I wanted to be involved in continuing the same work of seeing God glorified by sending students all over the world and being a part of that. Stephanie and I, the really, really short version of our story is we met in 2010 on an iGo trip. We got married in 2012. We thought very shortly after the Lord would send us overseas long term, and we spent the first 3.5 years of our marriage, God closing door after door after door. And really, it was a really hard time, but one of the things we fell back onto was the teaching and the training and the things that we had learned through our time at iGo and with the missionaries we'd worked with, and knew that it was really hard. We got to refigure out now. We thought we'd be going, but now that we're here, what does the Lord have for us? And it became so clear. It was obvious. It was like, well, what about this thing that we started with, and this thing that we know that if we're not going to be able to go, then let's do everything we can to train, equip, and send as many as we can. And so we stayed involved with iGo as much as we've been able to, but we also kept teaching and continued on the same biblical truths and all that we've done. So that's really, we've devoted our life to the exact same thing. And again, it's nothing short of because of what we learned through iGo Global.
Good. And that's a theme for thousands of students, just like these guys that were in high school. They come to this training and they realize, number one, it's not about me, that God is after His own glory. He doesn't need me, but He wants to use me.
Yeah.
And then they get a burden, God's burden,
That's right.
for the world that maybe they didn't have before. And so their vision becomes from narrow, becomes very big. And so that's a thing. Not everybody becomes a student pastor or a collegiate pastor. We've got teachers, we've got
That's
electricians, we've got men that are deaconing in their church that have this same vision, that fall back on this same teaching, that are faithful to the Lord, faithful to their family, and faithful to the church. And so that is what we're most proud of. Not that we take 700 kids a summer. It's guys like this. Y'all talk now a little bit about the leadership development. How did the training and the opportunities we gave you on the field help you develop as a leader? Because we have a very complex and comprehensive leadership development vision, and we let students lead. It's really complicated. We throw these young men and these young women into great responsibility very early as a freshman in college, maybe even a senior in high school. So tell us about that, how that went for you, because we threw you in pretty quick and pretty deep. So talk about how that worked to develop you as a leader.
Yeah. Man, I was thinking through this question and working with students. I was like, man, iGo's crazy. Because my first trip was the summer after my senior year.
Yep.
And then that next summer I was what is now called FLT, so Field
Leadership Team.
I learned that tonight. Field Leadership Team, and from there was leading trips the next 4 summers. And so almost 2 years of my life were leading teams across seas with high school students. And what I love about the teaching, and in those moments I was like, man, I've got this. It's going to go great. Go to the leadership weekend. And I'm like, oh, I'm not ready. But then iGo comes alongside you and supports you and encourages you in that way. But what I love most about this training and the way that they do it, it's something actually in my notebooks that had like 10 words written in them. One of them that was written in there, it was a teaching of you back in 2008 that stuck out to me. And it was just simply be a student of the gospel. Mm-hmm. It's you never move past being a student of the gospel. Because if we ever do that, then all of a sudden we're walking outside of what we're called to do. And so that not only helped shape me individually, but when we were leading, and yes, there were the practical elements of, hey, this is how you lead a team, this is what leadership looks like. but they were more worried about my own personal walk with the Lord first and leading out of an overflow of my heart instead of just sending me across seas with all these people saying, go get them, you got it.
Yeah. And we use a model of shepherding. If we teach them how to shepherd the hearts of others because they've been shepherded well, then it just kind of flows.
That's right. Yeah, I think that's so good, man. I could talk so much about leadership and the role it's played through iGo and the things I've learned. One of the first things I thought of, though, was kind of what you just alluded to, Brad, was that, I mean, they modeled the leadership for us really well. We saw that. You showed us how to do it, but then you allowed us to go do it. And we continue to joke about that, like so revolutionary, but having worked in student ministry now for a while.
Longer than I'd like to admit,
it is surprisingly revolutionary. I've worked with a lot of student ministers and that struggle with this. It's like, well, I mean, I couldn't ask 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old to do this type of thing. And I'm like, well, then how are they going to learn to do it? Like, when's the point at which you're going to allow them to be used by God? Because do you get to determine that, or does God? And that was something I feel like for me it's been so important. I've tried to continue to pass on in the way that I lead and shepherd students. And for me, I think, I had some natural leadership gifting that I'd seen in other areas of my life, but I hadn't experienced that within church life. Again, I was a fairly new believer, and iGo was one of the first places that really called that out in me and allowed me to see that, like, this is something the Lord has given you, and it's to be used for Him. I hadn't made that connection yet. And so it really started, again, for me, in a lot of ways, started the journey on which I am today, and has continued to impact the way that I lead students, the way we shape our leadership team with our college students. We try to give a lot of responsibility to them because we want them to learn to walk with Jesus. And it seems the way Jesus modeled that was by giving over responsibility and allowing people the chance to try and to fail. And man, a lot of times, we're going to fail. And you have to be prepared for that. So I think Nathaniel and I laugh because we can think of many times that we did not maybe hit the mark that we had expected
Everything
of us.
was great. Every student came home, and we were all safe.
Yes,
But
that's
yes.
true. That's
We
accurate.
didn't get that crazy. But these young men also were listening. They were listening to us, and they were paying attention to what was being taught, and they were able to communicate it. And so we gave them responsibility that they didn't feel prepared for, but if they felt prepared for it, we probably wouldn't have given it to them. And so they showed a humility, and they were ready to go. And so we put them in those positions, and that's what we're really, that's one of my favorite things about what's going on at iGo. So before Lance comes back up, we said not everybody is on staff at a church, but you guys, that's where you are. So talk about, you've already mentioned some of that. Any other thoughts on how the training specifically has impacted you, maybe in your vocation as in ministry? Any specifics there? Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I alluded to it already, but throughout the years, I've had the blessing of, I've continued to teach. So when my first church I was a youth pastor at, I remember at least once a year, I would teach the core values. I would teach straight out of the book, and it's what kind of piqued the interest of so many of our students. And then we'd bring them to the conference, and they'd hear it, and like, oh, that's that thing you were telling us about. And like, we'd bring them to base camps. We'd volunteer, and they'd come and get multiple touches with it. So they're hearing these truths, these biblical truths. And for me, it's continued to be that way. Just last week, I was at a college discipleship conference in Colorado, and I had the privilege of leading a workshop, and I taught on the bottom line in ancient work. And so, we're still using these truths. I text you and asked for permission to do that, by the way. So I didn't just go off and do that. And he said, as long as I give a good, solid plug. So we did it. But yeah, so it's still integrated into what we teach, and we still, so explicitly and implicitly, I use iGo's trainings because I think it just is one of the best condensing of just solid biblical truths in a simple, structured way that can be understood from an early age, but is something we continue to chew on, I think, for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, and just briefly, for me, it was, Gavin hinted at it a little bit, is just how much you entrusted the students with leadership opportunities. And so, man, this next generation, working with them, they're trying to figure themselves out. And so creating an environment similar to what you guys did, because you gave us position to lead, there was clear communication on expectations, And then there was a little bit of like, we'll let you fail, but we won't let you completely burn it all down. Like the first time something goes wrong, they didn't come running to me and be like, oh, we got it, it's okay. You genuinely did trust us with students across seas, and not only their safety, but shepherding abilities to lead those students. And that honestly has completely reshaped how I do student ministry.
Awesome. Thank you guys for being here. Y'all give it up for Gavin.
Yeah, thank you.
It's so great. I'm so glad you guys made the trip down to share your story. I wanted you guys to hear. That's the best way I can explain the long-term impacts. You just see that. And just like I told you guys earlier, I will just reiterate it for everybody. You cannot turn in the receipts for those suits. You can't. I'm not reimbursing you for that, okay? But everything else was great. Everything else was great. So, William Carey's famous missionary, maybe pretty close to the most famous one in the modern era. One of the things he's attributed as saying is, we need to expect great things from God and attempt great things from God, for God. Expect great things, attempt great things. And guys, I feel like 22 years ago that was our calling, and I feel even more convinced of it now than I ever have. That we have a generation that needs to be led to expect God to do great things, and they need to be shown that they can attempt to do those great things for God, and He'll do it through His power. And that's exactly what we're doing. And part of tonight is us sharing that story with you and telling you a little bit of a sliver of what we're doing, and the rest is asking you to join us. Like, help us do this. We can't do it without you. We don't even want to try. But when we all come together and we say, let's do that. Let's expect God to do great things, and then let's attempt it. And so my friend Tony challenged me this year to put this booklet in front of you. We've never done this. It just felt like a different thing. So this green booklet, and you can look through that later, but he said, let's set some goals. Let's set some goals and ask God to do some big things. And then let's see if He would be willing to do even more than we would dare to ask. And so we did. And Brad said it a couple times. I love that Brad said that. It's not about the numbers. 500, 300, whatever, it doesn't matter. But God has been using this thing to make an impact, a long-term impact in a lot of students. And so why wouldn't we want to open that wide up and see how many students that we could impact, that God would use us to impact? And so for the first time ever, we sat down as a staff and we prayed and we dreamed and we said, here, what could we do? What could we see God do? And we set a trajectory. Let's go. Let's see how this camp can grow. Let's see how our stateside trips can grow. Let's see how international trips come back over the next few years and have more and more students in this generation ready to go and to make Him famous. And so I hope that you'll join us on that journey. And to motivate all of us tonight with that momentum we're talking about, we had a group of just friends of the ministry, generous donors that basically came and said, okay, let's go. Let's expect great things and let's attempt great things. And they've provided a $100,000 matching gift for this banquet this year. So online, people have already couldn't make it tonight. They've already given me money or sent in money or pledged money. Like they're basically saying this group of friends that said we will match up to $100,000 so that iGo would have $200,000 moving forward into this next year, which that's huge. That's making up for some things that have been lost over the last 2 years. But it's not just that, guys. It's setting us up to move forward in the future. And I'm praying that will happen tonight, but I'm praying that God will do more than we would even ask or imagine that He could. And so I hope that you'll pray that. I hope that you'll go, and man, I've been to these things. I know what you're doing. You walk in and you go, I already got the check written. I got the number in my head. That's great. Anything you give will be doubled tonight. But what if you doubled it now? I don't know how math works, but I bet it'd be more. And God would do that. God would use that in a big way. And so I just want to invite you to partner with us in that way. And I want to make that as clear as I possibly can, and I want to make it simple, and then we want to move on and just hang out with you for a little while. But here's this card that's in front of you, and it has the info that you need. And I just want to ask you to look at it real quick. And this kind of tells you some things on this side, and on the back side is where you begin to fill it out. And I just want to highlight a couple things on that. On the right under contact information, it says make a long-term impact. And it says special gift towards our matching challenge. And so that right there, I'm asking you to write the biggest check you can write tonight, to make the biggest credit card donation you can make tonight, to make whatever kind of donation. I'm asking you to make the biggest one that you can tonight. Or maybe say, I was going to do this and then double it. I don't know what God's going to do. And that's going to go towards our matching gift challenge. And please, guys, I'm a pastor. I'm not asking for your tithe check. I'm not asking for the church, the money you give to your church. Oh, will withhold it from the church. No. What you can do above that to support this ministry, because you've heard some things, you say, I think God's in it. I'm going to support it. The biggest thing you can do right there is going to be God answering the prayer, expect great things, attempt great things for him. And then you can also say, you know what, by the end of this season, I may have this, and so I'd like to give this. And maybe this you're still waiting on taxes to play out or a bonus or whatever. And so right under that, you could just say, I'm going to do this. And maybe you're going to write something tonight and then do something, a pledge of some sort. That's my matching gift people said they'll count all that towards this. And we want to take advantage of that matching gift. We want to definitely get there. Right under that is monthly partnership. And you could partner monthly with just iGo, but I'd really, really like for you to consider monthly partnering with one of our staff members. That fulfills their ability to play out this calling on their lives when you support them that way. And maybe you're a monthly partner with one of our staff members and you've been doing that for a while, and tonight maybe you're going to increase that to give them even more freedom to do what God has called them to do. And then under that is the iSend project, and that's where we basically connect you to one of our teams and some of our students. So you get some kind of personal connection with them, and so you can do that as well. It's basically $32 a month. We'll connect you to one of our students from this summer. And so those are the ways that you can partner with us, the ways that you could connect with us, the ways that you could help us as we move forward into whatever God is going to continue to open up for us. Man, we're excited. I couldn't be more excited about where we're going. Coming out of this last 2 years has been so crazy, and I'm looking at this going, look at what God is already doing, and as I look into the future, I'm just so excited about what he's about to do. And so I'm going to pray, and then after I pray, we're going to give you some time to fill those out. There's some brown envelopes. You can place them in there. You can leave them on your table. You can hand them to your table host, and you can hand them to one of us. After I pray, I'm going to come back up, make one quick announcement, and dismiss everyone. And then we just want to hang out with you. So you don't have to run off. We'd love to get to know you. It's kind of crazy before we start, but we'd love to just hang out with you for a little while. So stay for a little while if you can. Let me pray. God, thank you for your love for us. Thank you for your mission. This is all you, God. This is your work, your plan, your purpose, your mission that you've allowed us to be a part of. And so, God, I pray that as we respond to you and what you're doing tonight, you'll help us to respond in obedience, whatever that looks like. I'm so thankful for the generosity of so many people in here. I'm so thankful for how you have provided for this ministry through the faithfulness of your people. And God, I'm praying that you would do it again, and you would do even more than we would ask or imagine. And God, I pray that you would do that for your glory among us and your glory to the ends of the earth. In the name of Jesus, the Savior of the world, we pray. Amen. Give you just a couple minutes and I'll come up and make some announcements. All right, as you're wrapping up, let me just say a couple things. First, on your table, there's a really cool looking plant. If you would like to take that home and try to keep it alive, please take it. You don't have to fight over them because there's others that some people won't take. So if you want to take that plant home that's on your table, please do that. Thank you, Janie, for putting all the decorations together. Also on your table are these koozies, these iGo brand new red koozies, and those are yours too. If you need some more, take them home. Just so you know, this is for your Dr. Pepper, okay? Dr. Pepper koozies, and we want you to enjoy those. Absolutely enjoy those. On your way out, please check out the merch table, and please take some pictures over there by that really cool iGo picture photo op opportunity. If you need somebody to take your photo over there, then just let us know, and we'll find somebody. If you want Nathaniel and Gavin to pose with you over there with their suits, they're ready to do that. Gavin, you'll take off the Oklahoma hat, right? Maybe. Okay. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for supporting us. This is it. You are dismissed. If you're watching online, thank you for tuning in.